I'm Hitesh. I'm from the IBM Watson Group. I don't know how many of you know, but IBM acquired the weather company, which was part of the weather channel in the US. So I think what's exciting is I was listening to Vincent go through how they've mapped the world, right? So what we have done is we have mapped the atmosphere, right? So there is absolutely no reason why you can't succeed, right? You know what's happening on the ground, you know what's happening in the sky, so you can literally solve any problem. Uh, but before I get into what we're going to provide from a weather perspective, uh, you know IBM's purpose is to solve problems for the clients, right? And I really liked when Rauf was talking about the stories about smallholders, right? Geeta was talking about the mission in terms of what the association does. And I spend a lot of time with clients in the industry. The first thing I did is I actually went to Riau. So I've been to a palm oil farm. I've kind of walked around, seen the problems they have, the pests they get, the drone imagery. So one thing I encourage you to do is just advice before I get into the data set, is think about the problem you want to solve, right? The data is all there. I think what will differentiate you is thinking about the smallholder, the ecosystem, the end users, and then apply the data to solve the problem. I think that'll give you a leg up. So that's just some piece of advice. All right, so why are we different, right? Vincent talked about all the great satellites that planet is using. What we are doing is we are taking all the available sources of weather data, both structured, unstructured, and then we are using the advanced IBM cognitive engines, right, the artificial intelligence, to come up with the best forecast possible, right? And the best example is your phone, right? So we have a pretty big consumer division. So if you have an Apple iPhone, if you look at the default weather app, that is our app, that is our data, right? And if you don't like the weather forecast, we can talk about it later. But I won't spend too much time around the science, but the bottom line is it's a great story of what an IoT platform today can do, right? I don't know, many of you will know, but your phone is actually a pressure sensor, right? So we are actually taking the pressure sensor and doing analytics around the climatology and the weather changes, right? That's one feed. We have partnership with airlines. So whenever there's a flight going, it's capturing a lot of weather information. We are feeding that into the platform, right? Of course, satellite images, there are a lot of different sources we get, and that's kind of the beauty of where we have come from a weather science perspective is hyper-local weather. We go up to 500-meter resolution, so you can go at a farm level and do the best forecast possible, right? The other beautiful thing that we have, which I think helps us differentiate from problem solving, is we have historical data going back 30 years, right? So I think we're going to be providing 3 years of historical data for these farms, right? It's really important that you leverage that to figure out the right patterns to then solve the problems, right? I'm not going to get into all the science and the analytics that goes on, but this is platform at scale, right? As I talked about precision, we have a global model, right? So in real time, we are doing forecasts for more than 2 billion locations. We have literally taken the globe and broken it into 500-meter grids. So every time you take out your phone or you go to weather.com or you Google weather, the Google feed is from us as well. Based on where you are, you're getting the most accurate forecast possible, right? Now, I have to be honest here, right? The hardest thing to solve is rainfall in tropical areas, right? So we're working really hard on the problem, but it's a climate, it's an atmosphere problem, and hopefully we can get better over time, right? The other thing is, again, I think it was Adam, I believe, was talking about data as the natural resource or oil. That's how we think about it too at IBM. But it's not, again, as I said, the data. It's what you do with the data. So the magic actually happens with all the forecasting models, the science, the analytics. That's what you need to bring to the table, right? Use the tools to come up with insights, right? That's kind of what I encourage to do. I won't get into all the nuances of the different parameters. We have more than 90 weather parameters you can use. But I think the top row is more important. In weather, you look back. So we have historical, right? We have current conditions, what's happening now. And then we have the forecast. And within forecast, we have, of course, the next 24 hours, 3 days, 5 days, and we have something called seasonal, which goes all the way out to 7 months. Now, what's important to understand is, weather is something you try to forecast, right? It's not going to be accurate. But it's one of the very few parameters that you can forecast. So if you can come up with an intelligent pattern or some kind of correlation around weather, if you know the forecast 3 days out, you can really do something intelligent. So keep that in mind, right? How can you use weather from a looking ahead perspective? Um, Again, these are all the different kind of APIs we have. We'll give you access to the keys. I'll put the link up. You can get started right away if you want. Uh, and we actually have an expert, Elena. She's at the back, so grab me if you have any burning questions around weather. Elena is a senior meteorologist at the back. Anyway, we'll introduce her as well. She'll be there at the hackathon, so if you run into problems with the API or the data set, please come to us. But what's more important is please ask questions around how you can solve a problem. In fact, I think there was a question around how we can help you. I literally have a long list of use cases from clients I'm trying to solve, right? So if you have skills, we have the clients, please work with us. I'll take you, we can solve problems together. So we are an enterprise, right? So we want to make money, so we'll get you paid as well. So these are the links. It'll come to you in the deck. You can actually go to, we have something called a Bluemix Developer Center, similar to what Vincent has for Planet. You can go create an account, get some free API access. You can get started today. The historical data will be available through that packet that you have. So check it out. If you have any questions, these are all REST APIs. It took me a while to realize what REST meant, but now I know. But it's very easy to use, and just again, keep the smallholder in mind, think about the ecosystem, think about the problem, and you have the planet and the atmosphere at your hands, right? So, all right, thank you.